This is lesson 9.1, reflections. So reflections are the first type of isometry, and that can also be referred to as a preserving transformation. So it's preserving a reflection, and we're going to talk about 3 of them. The first being the reflection is a transformation with rigid motion where every point is the same distance from that line of reflection, and all of our angles stay the same as well. So if we look, and you can use our kind of handy dandy tool here of reflection to look to see if that is what's here, and nope, see how it should look like this little and it's within that, so you can kind of see, but that this little part sticking out should be on that side, but if we look at this, it's right here, but it should be over here, so this would be a no. And then we look at this one, and you can kind of look at it at either side, so it should look like that, and yep, that's what the blue looks like right there. You can kind of see that reflection in the, and yes, so that's what that looks like. So this is really handy. You can also use what we call patty paper, and you can draw the image, and then you can flip it, and kind of like tracing paper, flip it and see if it falls onto itself. So it's kind of going to be your choice what you want to use. So with this one, we put it on the line of reflection, and then you can see where it should be on the other side, and you can kind of trace it through onto the other side. Okay, so that is going to just take you having to do some of that practice either with one of these or with your tracing paper, gaining that practice. Okay, so it's easy to show you, but really you have to do that practice on your own for those types of examples. So now we look to see, and this is just kind of one of those common sense things, if we're going to go over the x-axis, if we're going to reflect over the x-axis, then we are changing our y position to be opposite. Okay, we're either moving it up to become the opposite there, or we're moving it down to become the opposite there. In this case, we're moving it down because the capital P is your pre-image, and then the little apostrophe means that's your new image. So original and new. And we're going over the y-axis here. So notice that we're changing our y value, and it's going to become opposite when we're going over the x-axis. But when we go over the y-axis, then we are making our x negative, because we are moving, if you think of, you're moving from this positive x number to having a negative x number, but the same height. Then this line is what we call the y equals x line. So starting at 0, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, that is our line of reflection. And again, you can be using your tools to help you do your reflections, but it is also good to know kind of those rules. And this one, you're switching your x and your y. So go ahead and write those rules down below. And you're basically just copying this down here. So over the x-axis, it's going to become x with a negative y. Over your y-axis, it's a negative x and then y. And over the y equals x line, it's switching your x and your y. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and try a couple of examples together. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. I like to use 2 different colors to show my reflection, but that's totally up to you. So I'm going to draw my original in blue and my new one in green. So I'm just going to go ahead and plot all 3 of these points to draw the triangle. So please make sure when you're plotting your points that you are labeling the points, and then you're using a straight edge to connect them because everything needs to be as accurate as possible. So let's go ahead now and draw with a straight edge our triangle, our pre-image, and then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw my, or kind of highlight my x-axis so I know that that's that line of reflection. And I'm going to just use a, blue pen. If I can. So over the x-axis, so I'm going to draw my, there we go, my line of reflection, and use my Mira to put that on the line. And then I'm going to, and it's kind of hard to see because you're seeing each side, but I can see it with my Mira. You can see it reflected onto the other side, and then you're copying those points. Okay. You could also, now that you know the rule, that if you flip something over the x-axis, then what you're doing is you're changing your y value. So they're going to be reversed. So what that rule would be is the x comma negative y, which you could just change your y to be the opposite and get your new points that way, and then plot them. But it helps to have that visualization for most with the Mira and using it and then seeing that reflection. All right, so go ahead and draw your new image and making sure that you label with the apostrophes for your new image. All right, so double check your image and see that it's reflected or flipped over that x-axis. So how is reflecting across the x-axis different than reflecting across the y? So if we're flipping it up and down this way versus over this way. So it would be, if we're going over the x-axis, then it's a vertical reflection. And over the y-axis, going this way, that is a horizontal reflection. And as we could also see with our rules, what is changing that is also different. All right, so go ahead and draw your image here, and that is going to be -2, 2 for R. Make this one pink because my blue is running out of ink. And 5, 0 for S, and 3, -1 for T. All right, so now using your straight edge, go ahead and connect that. All right, so there is our pre-image. Now we want to draw our line of reflection here. So we're going to start at 0, go up 1 over 1, because remember there's a 0 here and a slope of 1 when it's y equals x. So starting at 0, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and there is going to be our line of reflection. So we're going to go ahead and draw that so we can put our Mira or use our patty paper